Good morning. Welcome back to another beautiful sunny day here in eastern North Carolina. The temperature is just wonderful out. It is getting a little warmer. It was actually pretty cold this morning. And by cold, I mean 50. Some of you may think that's pretty warm, but here in eastern North Carolina, that's getting on a bit chilly side. But it is fall, and we are getting into the cooler weather. Many of you may have noticed that last week I only did one video, and that's because Monday it was raining. And then Wednesday I did the video, Friday I did no video, and you may have think, oh, what's going on? Why isn't he doing a video? Well, that's because I have a good excuse. I went to the North Carolina State Fair. It was a very interesting day. The traffic up by Raleigh was city traffic, and I've been living out in the proverbial sticks for a while, and I was not used to the bumper to bumper, angry drivers zipping around, people cutting each other off, kind of traffic. So it was a bit much, but once you got to the State Fair, it was pretty exciting. There was a lot going on, a lot of music. There was a lot of food. There was more food than I could shake a stick at. There was all sorts of different events going on. There's, of course, rides. There's animals that were on display. But the one interesting part of the whole day was they actually had a small flower show at the State Fair. So, of course, I had to go check that out, and I took some videos and photos that I'll now go over with you to share some of my experience. First, when you're approaching the facility, it's kind of it's weird. It's a little sunken down from the main road. It's sort of like on a downslope of where the road is in the State Fairgrounds. So you kind of only see the top of the building, and along the main road there in front of the whole flower garden show, they turn around and line the whole boulevard with all sorts of incredible plants, beautiful things, roses, grasses, etc. Very, very nice. When you first walked in, there of course is so much to see, as with many other flower garden shows. And the first thing that caught my eye, and apparently they're famous for, is the mum tree. Now, the mum tree is nothing more than a metal frame that goes up 9 or 10 layers, that they put potted mums into, and it looks like a tree. So it's still pretty fun. And around that, on the ground, they had beautiful mums all planted out into a pattern. Sadly, I didn't have my drone with me, else it would have been a tad disruptive, but I didn't get any good photos of that little pattern that was on the ground, but they did lay it out in a pattern. Again, there's so much to see and so much to notice. So when I turned to my right, there was a large building, and apparently inside flowers and other plants in vases that were there for judging and that had been judged. There was dahlias, lots of dahlias. There was some other flowers. I can't think off the top of my head. I'm looking through my photos now. Roses and, again, dahlias. And there was some other flowers I never even recognized or noticed. Lovely displays. Everything was laid out. Labeling could have been a little better for the novices like myself who were there to, oh, what flower is that, or what kind of thing is. So that could have been a little better. But overall, it was a fairly nice setup. Huge sign on the side of the building when you walked out. Just when you first walked in off to your left, which I didn't notice until I started walking around all the displays, they had a wonderful collection of bonsais. Unfortunately, they were set quite a bit away from the pathway, and it was a little, again, if you're older and you have cruddy eyes like myself, it's a little hard to see. But I did take some I took a couple pictures, and probably the one that grabbed me the most was the bonsai that was set up to look like a forest. So it was actually, I guess, a bunch of smaller individual trees, but again, put together like a forest. Now, this was probably technically my my second flower show of any sort, flower garden show. And I've never seen this before, which was a model railroad set up in the middle of all this. And interplanted amongst the model railroad and the little towns and villages were dwarf plants to, I guess, simulate trees and whatever else natural growth would be in and around this model railroad village. So that was kind of neat and fun. They had the train running all around. They also, around much of the perimeter, I would say, they had sample gardens, or various gardens that were laid out for different purposes, whether it be a charity or to show you what you can do with native plants, or to show you a vegetable garden, something along those lines, which was all very interesting. I did speak to someone about who was there to promote using native plants in your garden. Unfortunately, it was for the Piedmont area, which is more towards the mountains, and had less to do with coastal plants, but they did direct me to a website, which I have now gotten some information on coastal plants here in Eastern North Carolina. Beautiful plants everywhere you looked. I turned my head to the left, turned my head to the right, more beautiful plants. There was a hothouse, and the only picture I took of the hothouse was of a pineapple growing in a pot. I didn't know you could actually grow pineapples in pots. I don't know much about pineapples. And maybe it's something I'll try once I get my greenhouse built here for next year. The hothouse actually wasn't that hot. Surprisingly, I've been to hotter hothouses. They had, besides the pineapple, they had many different types of flowers. One thing they didn't have was they had a lot of succulents. They didn't have any orchids. I'm a little disappointed about that. I would have loved to have seen some lovely orchids in the hothouse, but unfortunately there were none. The hothouse was also pretty small. It was maybe 10 by 20, so it wasn't that big. Outside the hothouse, there were many, again, continuing on with the incredible things. There was one garden area, which again was probably about 30 by 30, and that was set up as a tropical garden with all sorts of tropical plants. It was pretty incredible. More mum displays. They had a tree, and again, something like the mum tree, except it was built up with pumpkins because it is fall. That was wonderful. They had a ridiculously large chair, which of course I had to take a selfie in front of because why not? And that was about it. Not a huge flower show, but it did show a wide variety of plants and had things on display, which was very interesting. I don't know if I would do it next year, but I would like to see if there are other flower shows here in the Eastern North Carolina area that perhaps I could go to, whether it's in the spring, summer, or fall. Well, I'll have to do some research on that. If you know of any, if you live in the North Carolina area, and if you know of any flower shows, please leave a comment below. Let me know. Perhaps I can go check them out. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for today. This is hopefully going to be a short video. Like I said, I didn't take a lot of video or footage. I wish I did. There was so much to see. There was beautiful displays of roses. In fact, actually, I think that's how I'll end this video off, with some rose pictures of the roses I took. And that's going to wrap it up for today. Hopefully there'll be a video on Wednesday, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.